Hello everyone and welcome to my channel On the Hook Crochet, where we talk about wearable crochet style. Let's find out what's been on the hook. Today is Wednesday, February 26th. I was supposed to do a crochet hook review today. I had promised that and I apologize. I am still waiting on one more hook to come, and I wanted to include it in my review, and that is a Tulip Hook. I don't know if any of y'all have used them. If you have, please leave me a comment, because I didn't mention that the other day. I mentioned furl hooks, clover hooks, and then I'll also review Susan Bates and boy hooks. There's one kind of an odd brand that I'm going to review as well. I ordered it on Amazon. It just happened to be there. But I didn't order a tulip hook, and I know that a lot of you use tulip hooks. They are not cheap. They're actually more expensive on Amazon than clover hooks. So I have not used those, and there were lots of great reviews on Amazon, so I thought, well, I'll just try one of those. And so I've ordered all my hooks now, and they should be here by Monday. So it'll probably be midweek next week before I can get my review out for the hooks, but I will be doing that. I am interested in that. I wanted to do a thorough review instead of just a couple of ones just to compare them with each other. I wanted to do the whole gamut. I'm going to use them all, and then I will have my opinion out there. Is simply my opinion of what hooks are best and what kind of yarn they work best in, or if they hurt your hand or whatever. So I'll probably spend another weekend working on some projects that I have in the hopper and my whips, actually. So I want to do that and put a little time in with each hook and really give it a good going over. So I plan to do that, and hopefully by mid next week I will have that review out to y'all. Today I wanted to visit with you again and talk about a couple things that are going on. First of all, I wanted to thank Granny Dee. She has a YouTube channel, and she sent me the name of the butterfly bush, and a lot of y'all brought that up. You said there's an actual bush that attracts the butterflies. She sent the name of the bush to me, and frankly I can't even pronounce it, but it was in her comment, and thank you for looking that up for me. I appreciate it. If I can find that comment, I will put the name of the bush down in the description box, and if you're interested, you can go buy one and plant it in the spring, and it will draw butterflies to it. I've heard lots about it, but I've never had the actual bush, so maybe I'll buy one this year. I don't know. Also want to thank you for your encouragement about the titmouse sweater. Using fingering weight for a sweater, I am not used to doing that, and so I thank you for your well wishes and your compliments about the sweater pattern. I hope you enjoy it. I've had several people already say they're working on it and they're doing a good job, so hopefully it will be a good pattern, a good solid pattern, and I plan to use it again with some fingering yarn that I have just received. Also, I want to thank you for your compliments on Joe's bags. She actually reads the comments on my videos and said she was feeling so good that people thought that her bags were really pretty. So I was thankful that I could show those, that the two ladies that bought her bags this week were okay with my showing the bags on the channel so that everybody can enjoy them and look at them. And if you want one, you can contact Jo. Her email address is below, and she can start a conversation with you about a bag and give you a quote. Now, a couple of things. What I'm wearing today, I am wearing, as promised, my Fire and Ice shawl made from a hand-dyed yarn, and it only took one skein. So if you have a skein of hand-dyed yarn lying around, if you've been to a yarn shop or a yarn festival, a fiber festival, and have picked up one skein of yarn, that one that you had to have but didn't really want to spend the money for two, you can make one of these scarves out of one skein of hand-dyed yarn. I'm 99% positive I only used one skein. I think I only bought one skein from Becky, who is the person who dyed this yarn. And let me show it to you up close and personal. It is, of course, the Fire and Ice shawl pattern by Underground Crafter. I wore my Green-Eyed Lady last week, and that is the same pattern I used for this one. This is a gorgeous peach hand-dyed yarn scarf, and look how gorgeous the stitch definition is. Quite wonderful on this particular yarn, and it is on my Green-Eyed Lady as well, and that's why this pattern looks really nice. crocheted up in a hand-dyed yarn because it shows the stitches. They are not difficult, but I love the stitch pattern. It's not, like I said, it's not difficult to make, but it is quite beautiful when you get it on. And it is a triangle, not asymmetrical. It's a symmetrical triangle with long ends, and you crochet from one end through the triangle and back to the other end. So it's not difficult to do. I've really enjoyed making it. This is my third one, and I have one more that I'll probably wear one day next week and show you how that looks, made up in Shawl on the Ball, which is actually how the pattern was designed. The pattern designer said, I want to use Shawl on the Ball, and so Fire and Ice was the pattern that she created, and it is beautiful. I will wear that next week, and maybe Friday. Maybe I'll just wear that Friday and show it to you. And if you're interested in the pattern, you can go out there and take a look. I always put the link for the Fire and Ice shawl down in my description box because I dearly love that pattern. It's easy to make. I know what it's going to look like. I can grab a shawl on the ball and make one, and it is outstanding and beautiful. So I suggest that you take a look at that pattern and grab that hand-dyed yarn that you have in your stash somewhere, you never know, or maybe a big box yarn, not a big deal, but any kind of self-striping yarn would lend itself beautifully to this particular pattern, as well as just a hand-dyed variegated yarn or whatever you have lying around. So you might want to try that. This week I have had a little bit of STARTITIS, and if y'all know what that means I've started a lot of projects. I have a lot of whips, and I have some left over from last year that we talked about. The black top made out of bamboo pop, the beautiful U red yarn is very small, number 2 top that I'm going to make out of that. Those were a couple that I'd started last year. I also started a cotton fair in multicolor, beautiful cotton fair sweater that I'm working on a little at a time. But since it's still cool outside, I'm spending a little bit of time on my last couple of wool projects. And let me show you the progress I've made on my cream and pink top. The yarn was sent to me by Knit Crate in the last box, and I want to show you the progress I've made on that. I have completed the back of my sweater. I only had probably 10 or 15 rows left to do, and I did those the other day on Monday afternoon, I think it was, and got that finished up. So this is, this is my right side stitch marker. Isn't that beautiful? I love using these pretty stitch markers. This marks the right side, even though I could find it easily. Those of you who have asked me how to find the right side of the fabric, this is how you do it. If you look down here, this is the beginning of your sweater fabric. This is where you started your chain, and the chain went this way. Now, if you hold this and it's on your left, like if I hold it like this and it's on my left, this is the right side of the fabric. Easy as pie. But sometimes I'll mark a piece of fabric just so if I have to glance and make sure I'm maybe changing yarns, and I want to put my yarn ends, my oddball yarn ends, on one side of the fabric or the other. I want to just be able to glance and say, oh, that's the right side, I better pull it to this side. That's what I use that for mostly. And then when I'm putting the fabrics together to sew, I can quickly glance just to ensure that I have the right sides together. And that's how I sew my sweaters together. Right sides together, not wrong sides together. I've never thought that was a good idea, but that is my opinion, my crochet opinion. So anyway, I have finished this back fabric, and it is pretty. Look how pretty this turned out. I love it. It's going to be a little bit boxy. It's a little big, but it has the ribbing at the bottom. And of course, I'll tell you in the pattern how to do that. It's not too terribly difficult, but you have to pay attention. And then it's just a square, a rectangle for the back. And I have started the front. I worked a little bit on this morning, and I have done the ribbing. The ribbing is finished, and I'm now working on the body of the fabric. So that shouldn't take me too terribly long. I'm using the little bag that I received from Knit Crate in the Malabrigo yarn bag, or yarn box basically, the Malabrigo box. And I have my yarn in here. It's fed through the grommet on the top. Thank you for telling me what that word was. I had several people say what that was. This is a grommet. It's a metal circle, and we pull the yarn through it, and that way your yarn ball doesn't roll all around the floor when you're pulling on the yarn to, you know, grab that extra yarn to crochet with. So that's what I've done on that particular project. I'm excited. I'm so glad I'm working on this. I don't have too terribly much to go. Well, I'm about halfway through. So that's good. I loved that yarn so much. I love that cream and pink yarn so much that I now have the blue. The blue is quite gorgeous too. Some of y'all received this in your Knit Crate box from last month. This is the Audine Wools, sponsored by Creative Grandma. And this is a beautiful, beautiful yarn. I love it. Won't that be cute with jeans? Or a navy blue skirt or a denim skirt. Love it, love it. I love the look of that. It's got a little bit of purple as well. So you purple lovers, there's some purple right there. And then it's got mostly blue, but it does have a little bit of purple. And I have caked this up. And look how gorgeous that is caked up. I love the way the colors are working on my other one, and I'm sure they'll look just like that with this particular yarn. So I ordered 4 hanks, which is plenty to make a good size sweater. I may even make a long sleeve sweater out of that. I don't know. We'll see. But that's living in my red and black bag there, and it's ready to go. I haven't started it yet. I wanted to get farther along on my cream and pink sweater first before I started that one. I have a couple of acquisitions. I went to Hobby Lobby, and I bought some cotton yarn. And it's hard to find hand-dyed cotton yarn. There are some out there, but mostly cotton yarn is best from a big box store, I think. And that's just my opinion. Or Love Crafts, you know, the cotton fair, but it's not a very large yarn, and it takes a long time to crochet with number 2 yarn, which is fine. I love number 2 yarn. That's what these 2 particular yarns are that I just was talking about. But I wanted something in a size 4. So I went to Hobby Lobby and I found this Coastal Cotton 204 yards on the ball, and it's really pretty. It is a it's not a solid color. It's more like a lavender and white, and the lavender seems like it's a little bit like it has the halo on it. And let me just tell you what's in this. This is the color purple, of course. That's not too hard to figure out. This is 90% cotton, 10% acrylic. So it's mostly cotton. I'm excited about that because it'll be nice and comfortable in the summer. I'll just make a top out of this, or maybe a little short sleeve sweater or something like that. And it's just, like I said, it's a number 4 yarn, but you have to hand wash it and lay it flat, but that's not an issue for me. I don't get my clothes all that terribly dirty anymore, so that's not an issue for me. It might be for you. But this is what it looks like made up. That's kind of pretty. It looks like she's used the lavender here at the bottom, and then she's bought 2 other colors as well to make that scarf. But this is called Coastal Cotton. It's from Hobby Lobby, and it's loops and threads, and I'm sure y'all are familiar with that. I bought that color, and I also bought a navy. I bought the navy blue in that same yarn. Here's the purple. Here's the navy blue. Really pretty. This will look really cute with jeans. I love the blue. Blue is kind of a good color this year, so I'm trying to concentrate on putting blue in some of my projects. I purchased 5 balls of this yarn. So this is the Coastal Cotton, and this color is called Indigo. It's called Indigo. Now, I have started a sweater. Like I said, I have a little bit of STARTITIS, so I started a sweater. But you will be glad to know that I am not, this is not just a half double crochet or a double crochet. I've had one person that says that to me a lot, and I do like to put different things in my patterns, but I don't like to put anything terribly difficult to make. So this is a pattern repeat of 4 rows, and in the pattern are some other stitches. This stitch pattern is called Buds in a Row, and it is not just half double crochet or double crochet. There are certain things that you do to it that make it different, and you can look that up. I don't know if that's just generally known. I found it in an old crochet book, and it makes a really nice fabric. It's not real dense, so it'll be cool in the summertime, and you can't really see through it too much. You can see a little bit, so this might require a tank top under it. I don't know yet. So that is in one of my clear shoe boxes that's living in there. Again, I'm making that with a J hook, so it should be pretty fast. It didn't take me long to make this much. This is about 3 inches of fabric right here. So I should be able to move through that fairly quickly. Then I also bought some cream cotton by Loops and Threads. This is a number 4 yarn as well. But this is much larger yarn. I mean, if you hold your finger under it, it's so much bigger than this yarn. It's just bigger. So they both labeled as number 4. This is very, very soft, as is the coastal cotton is very soft as well. But this is even softer. This is called cream cotton, and it's a number 4 yarn. This is hand washed cold dry flat. So these are delicate yarns that you have to pay attention. 432 yards on the ball, and I purchased 2 balls of this, so I have 864 yards, which is ample to make a short sleeve sweater for my size, which is like a small, medium, something like that. I make it to fit me, just like I want y'all to do. I make my sweaters to fit me. I'm not really a standard size. I'm smaller in places and larger in places than the standard size. So I make my sweaters to fit me. And as you know, they do fit pretty well because I take my measurements just like I show you in my patterns, and I crochet to those measurements. I do not follow somebody else's measurements. So that way you can make a top or sweater to fit you. So this is one color that I bought, and I'm guessing it's called Violet. That is beautiful. I don't usually buy a lot of purple, but I do like it, so I bought it. This is also another color that I bought. This is called Dusty Mint, and this is also in the cream cotton. Dusty Mint, very beautiful and so soft. I really love their yarns. Now, I started a sweater. Here I am in my STARTITIS mode. I started another sweater. Instead of making a swatch, I just decided I would just start a sweater because I know I'm going to make a sweater out of this. But this is the color. Let me find the color on here. This is 87% cotton, 13 nylon. So it's cotton and nylon, mostly cotton. That's why it's so soft. The nylon makes it very soft. This is the color Mustard, which is pretty obvious. This is a good color for me, not a good color for everybody, but I do love this color. It's more goldy. I don't know if the camera is bringing in the color right, but it does look like mustard, I have to say. It's got plenty of yellow in it, and so it's got yellow and brown. It's a pretty color. I like it, and I've started a sweater with it, and this is also not just a half double crochet, or single crochet. This has cross stitches in it, and I want y'all to learn how to do this. This is very pretty. My mom did this stitch a lot when she was making scarves and hats. She would use a cross stitch. Some people call it an X stitch, but this is what it looks like. Now, there's a pattern repeat of 4 rows, and here is the row of cross stitch. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. There it is. This row right here is the cross stitch row. And then there's some other rows up here that are different kinds of stitches. But the cross stitch is the star, and the pattern repeat has 1 row of cross stitch and some other rows in it. So the whole thing looks like this. It's a real pretty look. I like the look. It's interesting when you get up close to it. When you see the cross stitch, it's got a little bit of a hole there between those stitches. Like I say always, it's not difficult to do, and I will give you some good directions on that. If you haven't done a cross stitch before, it's very nice. There is only a stitch repeat of 2 or 3 stitches, so it's not like you have to plan 14 stitches across. I didn't want something that difficult because y'all are making these to your own measurements. I won't have any stitch numbers for you. You'll have your own stitch counts, and that makes the pattern yours and the design yours as well. But I should be able to get a sweater out of 2 of these balls. I bought 2 balls in each color. So that was my other STARTITIS project that I just couldn't stand it. I just wanted to start something with those 2 types of yarn. So I have several colors. So however they make up, I will know if I want to do the same thing again or try something different with those. So now let me show you what Crystal's wearing today. Crystal is wearing the Kimberly cowl in the side-to-side version in the Malabrigo yarn that's so gorgeous and so squishy. I really like it. She likes it too. She's got on her pink top with the long sleeves because it's a little bit cool today. And I've wrapped this around her neck, and she says it feels pretty good. So I knew she would like it. I think it's still a little stinky. It's not as bad as it was the other day. I think maybe once it's out in the air, maybe it will calm down a little bit as far as the odor. But the looks of it are gorgeous. Look how beautiful those colors play together. They're pink, purple, blue. There's a little bit of cream color in there, light pink, medium pink. It's beautifully done. It just is beautifully done. So I really like that. I have a whole hank of it left. So I have a whole hank left and some left on the ball as well. I made it as long as I wanted to. I didn't want it any longer than this. And one thing I will tell you, a couple things actually. I'm going to send this pattern out tomorrow. If you were watching me on Monday, then you know that I announced that I was sending out the Kimberly Cow Sideways version pattern out on Thursday at 3 p.m. And those in the community, if you will go down in the description box and sign up for the community if you haven't already, those who are already in the community will get the pattern. But if you're new to sign up, you will get it as well. So sign up before Thursday at 3 and you will get the pattern and the PDF version. All you have to do is print it off and you'll have it. So I'm excited to be able to send that out to my community as a free pattern this month. So I'm just glad to be able to do it. I wrote it up and it's a little different, quite a bit different actually than the Kimberly Cow that I published last month. That was very popular. Everybody seemed to like it, so I thought I would do it in the sideways version. And this way you can use up the yarn that you have. It doesn't have to be a specific number of stitches or a measurement. You don't even have to do that. You can decide how many pattern repeats you want to do. Now this one has 4 pattern repeats. There's some mesh at the top, and then here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then mesh at the bottom. And so when you crochet it side to side, back and forth this way, you can make it as long as you want. One thing I will tell you that I didn't like the edge of it where I had started. I started with a line. It didn't have a shell here at the bottom, right here. It just had a straight line, and then the shells worked their way up this way. So I went back after I finished the scarf. I joined my yarn and I did one of the standard rows across the bottom. And because I was facing a different direction, it made the bottom of that end look like the bottom of this end. So I will just tell you that. I'm not going to change the pattern. But if you see that you don't like one end of the scarf, if it's too plain, just turn it around and do one row going back the other way. It's very, very easy to do. You just do one of the pattern repeats going back the other direction. Very simple, very simple. So I hope you enjoy the pattern on Thursday. I'll be back on Friday and we will select our giveaway winners and chit chat a little bit. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it wasn't a crochet hook review, but I had lots to talk about, so I wanted to go ahead and come on, and then I will see you again on Friday when we find out what's on the hook.